Hello friends, it's been a while. It's been quite a interesting summer. I have been not scheduling much for myself. I've needed time and space to just be quiet in stillness, and I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do that at this time. We have been receiving some very, very high vibrational frequencies, and it's going into us very deeply. And at the same time, it's very subtle. And yet, what I've been noticing with myself and with other people is that now we're noticing shifts in relationships, especially old relationships that we've had for many years. Perhaps the resonance has changed and we're no longer in harmony with that person, or we are no longer able to set aside some attitudes and behaviors with people that before we just shrugged our shoulders and set that aside and moved forward. Now it's like difficult to do that and not necessary. These kind of changes can bring up grief, but also it is freeing for all those concerned. And so if we're able to let go and accept the changes and shifts in our lives, we'll be in a much better place to deal with more change that is coming our way. And so allow yourself time to do nothing, which is really difficult. I think I've spoken about this before. There's always a feeling of needing to be busy or having projects. Like I have a lot of projects that I haven't acted upon, and that's weighing on me. But the time is coming to start bringing these projects forward. In fact, I've started a little bit, and one of my first I'm working on some oracle cards, and I am drawing mandalas that represent different feelings or ideas. And one day last week, I was really kind of getting tired of my resting and quietness, so I went into this project, and I one of the words that was standing out for me to work on that day was action, which was pretty funny because I feel like I've been very inactive, but that was the one. So I came forward and I completed that mandala, and yeah, it was very uplifting to do that. So action is coming forward again, but it has been really important to be quiet and be with nature. And so I'm going to take you for another walk with the dogs and talk about our connection to Mother Earth. So here I am coming out of the woods. You can hear all the crickets. Oh, isn't that magical? The goldenrod is blooming. The bees are loving it. So I've been guided to tune in to the crystalline energy grid around the earth and bring what I'm just calling cosmic energy, because it's energy that I'm sensing from out in the universe, to bring it into my crown and down through my body and send it into the earth. And because the earth is going through an ascension process, the earth, as we can tell from all the fires and storms and the rising temperatures of the oceans, the earth is going through a very deep change. And she needs our support. And so by bringing this energy in and then down into the crystalline field that is around the earth, and then down into the center of the earth, is really helpful for her and for us. It's an act of love. So that's been something that I am focusing on just about every day. Sometimes I forget. And so I want to share that with everyone. And let me just tune in to see what else is coming up for me to share with you. A lot of it is about what we're focusing on. It's getting a little breezy up here. And I find that focusing on love, it's so basic, and but it's so valuable. It's what we need, and it's what the earth needs. And speaking of that, so there was the tropical storm, hurricane turned into tropical storm, that Idalia, that came up through Florida, and I was guided to send love from my heart into the center of that storm. And I don't think I was the only person doing that. So, it's not just me, but I feel that it's really important that we do this kind of energy work, because there's going to be more and more storms and fires, and sending love into those places, into the elements, because it's the earth elements, fire, water, air, and earth. Forgot the last one. That are churning and shifting. And so we send love into the earth, into the air, into these storms, firestorms, floods. I believe it will help to dissipate some of the energy, some of the trauma of those experiences. So this is a practice that we can do on a daily basis. And so it's our connection to the earth that is so important right now. I mean, it's always been important, and we, especially in Western influenced societies, have lost that connection to nature. And we really need to get back into living in right relationship with nature. And so we are like little children, toddlers, in that we are learning, or we need to learn, what exactly that means to be in right relationship. So it would do us good to listen to ancient teachings of native peoples all around the earth. And also to come into our own connection with this beautiful planet we live upon. So doing the work of connecting to the crystalline grid of energy that we are part of. To find our relationship with nature. I've talked about this before. I know even people living in cities, there are parks, there are trees, there are waters, there's always a chance to connect to the natural world. Just tuning in to see what else is coming up. Forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. Perhaps you have memories that come up from long ago in your life that don't feel so good. It never seems to be the really good memories that show up, it seems. And so to practice forgiveness and to say, that was then, this is now. And to bring that part of yourself into your heart for nurturing and healing. And then releasing. Because the now moment is all there is. Which brings me to the concept of timelines. I've been asking my guides, I see a lot of people talking about timelines and shifting timelines, and I have to say I don't really understand what that means, although I feel that I'm experiencing it, that sometimes I get a wave of a feeling that could have been a timeline from long ago before I was even in this lifetime, or a timeline from my early days. Perhaps we're picking up on timelines that our ancestors lived within. So it's been very like swirling around, sometimes really chaotic. Back in July, I kept feeling feelings of like a zigzagging energy and like back and forth. And that energy, it's shaking us up. It's shaking, loosening beliefs and patterns and imprints that we can't take with us because we are evolving. And there's so much of that energy that we can't take with us on the new paths, which I'm being told right now is a new timeline that we're entering into. So look and see what's happening with you in your life. You may be feeling shakeups. You may be having contentious moments with other people, which may lead you to feel like retreating and not being around people, which may be what is needed to find your way within and to look at where and how you are integrating these high vibrational frequencies. Like I said, it's happening on a very deep level. And the weird thing is that you think of, well, a high vibrational frequency, well, that should feel good. But of course, well, maybe not of course, but it really doesn't feel that good because it's shaking up that which is not in harmony with that high frequency. So that can be a challenge. But then we can always come back to loving and forgiving ourselves. And when we connect with nature, that helps to nourish us. And it helps to nourish the earth as well. Or you may be having interesting dreams. I had a dream last night where I turned to my partner who was in the dream with me and said, "This is like a Twin Peaks episode." And it was. It was really bizarre. I haven't really sorted out what it all meant, but Perhaps it had something to do with the super full moon, but I actually it woke me up and I got out of bed and wrote it down, which is something I don't do very often because, I don't want to get out of bed. I want to go back to sleep. But anyway, so deep, interesting dreams are up for a lot of us. Yeah, so I guess the tools that we have to do with love and nurturing ourselves and connecting with nature and spending time alone if you can. Because sometimes being with other people makes it kind of difficult to sort through what we're feeling, especially if you're empathic, which so many of us are. And we also there's an opening happening where telepathy, this guy's always digging holes. Telepathy is coming up for us. In fact, I had a really odd experience last Saturday. I was walking in the woods here with the dogs and suddenly knew that there was a mass shooting happening somewhere. And I felt my energy reach out, and it's like my arm went up and lifted up the gun energetically, and I felt like there were other people there with me doing that. How did I know that was happening? I have no idea, but there it was. It came into my consciousness. How do I know? I do have an idea. It's because we are all connected. We are, whether we are aware of it or not, in the collective consciousness, we are all connected, no matter what your frequency is. So I sensed that happening. I felt my arm go up to lift up the gun, and then I was aware that the person with the gun turned it on himself. And then later that day, I found out about the shooting in Jacksonville, Florida, where 3 people were killed. And at the moment that gunman turned it on himself, there was a kind of collective sigh of compassion. What trauma drove that person to do that? I don't know. I don't get it, and I know it's difficult too. I'm not feeling sorry for him, but it's just some sickness that is in our society, and he acted on it. So send out love and compassion to all the people who were touched by that experience, and just softening energy to soften grief that's held by so many people who lost people they love in that moment. And with a prayer of further awareness for when something like that is about to happen, that perhaps we can take an energetic intervention of some sort. I don't know, it's worth a try, isn't it? So I was speaking about telepathy and our abilities to sense energy, and the fact that we are all connected, and knowing that if we as a group focus on love, loving the earth and loving ourselves, and sending that vibrational frequency of love out into the ethers of the world, it can only help. It can only help in the changes the birthing process that we are collectively going through. So that is the message of today. We do have power. We have power together as we rise above all the shenanigans going on at the hands of the corporatocracy and tune into love together. We will be able to help to birth ourselves into a higher frequency of love and compassion. So we've got this. We're not separate. And so I send love to you, whoever watches this, to feel that wave of love coming through to you. Many blessings, and keep shining.